Go.
Hey, Mary Jane Baker. No, I'm Mary Jane Baker. Wait, can we do that again?
Mary Jane Baker, take 27.
Hey, I'm Mary Jane Baker, and you're listening to 420radio.ca.
You're listening to 420radio.ca, Canadian Cannabis Radio.
You're watching the Three High Guys podcast on cbgtv.com.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Everybody's watching and wondering where Paul is. Paul has decided to step away because of his pregnancy and job.
Paul's pregnant?
Jane is sitting in for it. Yeah.
I am now officially the third high guy.
Yeah, there you go. Well, she's one of the boys.
Well, you know.
As far as, obviously we have an idea of who you are, but not everybody out there in the world because, broadcasts these days reach a global audience.
I know your name. We've run into each other over the years, but I have no idea what you do. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You didn't know I was a stripper? No, I'm just joking.
It's a good story, Al. Buckle up.
Okay, all right. I've had Sherry and as a guest years ago, and yeah, it is a very good story. She's got one on. I'll let her tell her.
Sheriann over to
the other way.
Here.
Sheriann up there. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, all right. So back in 2017, I was in my hometown in BC, just on a little holiday, and I had a grand mal seizure and ended up going to the hospital there. And I was in there for 3 days, and they told me that they figured I had a stroke, but they weren't sure. But I was living in Alberta, so I had to get myself out of the hospital in BC to get to Alberta to try to figure out what was going on, because I was in my little hometown and it was so small that they didn't even have an MRI machine. So they didn't really know what was going on. They just thought I had a stroke. So I went back to Alberta, and I had to wait 2 months to see a neurologist to get an MRI. And as soon as I sat down and I talked to him, I didn't even have to have an MRI with him. He says to me, "You have a brain tumor." And I said, "Get the hell out of here." I had a feeling, because I had over 2 months to sit on what had happened to me. And I knew I just knew I didn't have a stroke, right? Like my face wasn't all, droopy on one side or anything like that. And the 2 months gave me a lot of time, like, to rethink things. And I started to remember that prior and stuff, like, for a couple of years, I had this like trembling feeling inside my body, but being 55, I just thought maybe it was my age. I mean, I was 46 when I got sick, but even so, I just thought, it's just an age process. So I didn't really think anything of it, but now going forward, I realized that it was like a tremor going on, that it was like a sign that my tumor, there was a tumor in my head growing. And so that's what happened. So when I sat down, I talked to this doctor, like, he said right away, I can tell you got a brain tumor. So he was pretty, well, he knew I was sitting on it for 2.5 months. So he knew it was pretty urgent. So he called the Lethbridge Hospital and got me in the next day for an MRI. And I'm pretty, I don't know, I think I'm intuitive, and I really like to watch people. So when I was getting my MRI done, I was watching the technician doing it, and I watched his eyeballs light up. And then at that point, I realized, holy shit, right? I knew something wasn't good. So the next day, I go back to see my doctor, and he says, "Sure enough, Sheriann, you have a tumor the size of a golf ball in your brain." And so now the next step was, of course, to go up to Foothills Hospital in Calgary, which is 2 hours away, to see my doctor to find out what kind of brain cancer I had, whether it was terminal or not terminal. So yeah, that's where my journey started. And um, yeah, turns out I have, oh gosh, I can't even pronounce it, glomia brain
Oh, one
cancer.
of those.
Yeah, one of those. So I was ready to get it taken out that day in Calgary. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I packed a bag. Let's get her out. And they were like, well, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. We have to like get a team together and so on and so forth. But you are going to get to meet your surgeon today. And so that was kind of, I wasn't in shock. I didn't even cry. I was, like I said, I had a lot of time to think about what possibly was going on with me. And my conclusion was cancer was very, well, everybody in my family's pretty much died from cancer. So I knew I was going to get it. I just didn't think at 46 years old and me being extremely healthy at that time that I thought, no way. But sure enough, I had terminal brain cancer. So I've been one of these people that have always knew if I ever got cancer, I would absolutely not do chemo or radiation. Absolutely not. I know what that does to you. And I believe when you have cancer, you need to be strong. So doing chemo and radiation is just it's just going to break your body down and make you weaker. I just believe, to me, that's how I feel that the government and the doctors make their money is they make us sick. They keep us sick. They make money. Government makes money when we die. But anyway, I'm like, no way. I'm 46. I'm healthy. Besides having that grand mal seizure, I felt great. So I was like, F that. I'm not freaking going to die. So I had heard of Rick Simpson oil, but not enough to really know yet that's what I was going to do. So me and my husband at the time jumped in our car and we drove down to Nelson, BC, which is Hippieville. And we knew we'd get our answers about Rick Simpson there, and we did. And I actually talked to hippies and growers, and they were just like so encouraging and so like they were like, "Yo, you got this. You're gonna beat this." And they gave me so much hope. And I actually found out about a friend of mine that I went to school with. His name was Chris, and he actually had lung cancer. He died a year prior to me getting sick. And when he did the Rick Simpson oil and eating clean and everything. And when they did his autopsy, they discovered that he was cancer free. But what had happened, because he had lost so much weight, that his stent had moved and his punctured his lung, and that's why he died. But when I found out he was cancer free from that Rick Simpson oil, it was like full force Rick Simpson oil, and that's what I did. I gobbled up that stuff so much so quickly. I did like, I don't know, a gram to 2 grams a day for 2 months prior, right up to my surgery. And let my doctors know about it. They were excited in Calgary. They were really excited because they had seen a lot of people go through Foothills Hospital that were using cannabis oil, and they were seeing really great results. It is really important that a lot of people, for some reason, are afraid to tell their doctors they're using cannabis oil. I don't know why. Even before legalization, this is your body. This is your life.
It's important it's important for people to tell their doctors that they're doing this, so it can be recorded, it can be documented, all that type of stuff.
Well, not just that. If you take
it educates the doctor.
Well, you also it lowers your blood pressure, so it's very important. You need to get off of it about 3 to 4 days prior to your surgery. I know it sucks, you don't want it because you're like, oh my god, it's medicine, but you got to get off of it, because what could happen is you can get on that operating table and then your blood pressure is always going to be really low on Rick Simpson oil, so they might just refuse to do your surgery. You don't want that to happen. So I had they wheeled me into that operating room, and I had my surgery 2 months after I discovered it. So on October 3rd, 2017, I went in for my brain surgery. Took 6.5 hours. Like I said, my tumor was the size of a golf ball. And in Alberta, just so you know, have your surgery there. They don't shave your head. Just this tiny little line right here. So when I put my hair down, nobody could even tell I had surgery. They're like, "You just had brain surgery?" I'm like, "Yeah." And everywhere else, they shave your head in Canada. So And that's important for women. I just have to say that it really is important for women. So anyway, I had my surgery, and it was about, I don't know, I woke up like 3 hours after my surgery, and I remember when I woke up, I had a super woman shirt on, first of all, and because I knew I was going to kick its ass. Anyway, and then I woke up and my hands were like this, really tight. I guess I was just, I don't know, I guess all my nerves and just everything, right? But I woke up and I just remember being like excited that I was still alive. That was just my first reaction, right? Because I was a little nervous, right? So, yeah. So, yeah, I was up and at it and walking around that ward within like hours after brain surgery. And the doctors and the nurses were all like, what the hell? And I'm like, cannabis. It's the cannabis oil. I'm telling you. And because there was other patients in there. I had another woman that was in there for something really minor, but she couldn't even get out of the bed. And she's like, you just had brain surgery and you're walking around. I'm like, yeah, I feel pretty good. I have a little bit of a headache, but I felt good, right? I felt good. I don't know, maybe if I had adrenaline too because I'm still alive, but I felt good. Well, the next day I woke up and they're like, you still feel really good? I'm like, I feel amazing. They're like, do you want to go home? I'm like, absolutely. So I was out of the hospital on the 26th hour after my brain surgery. And I swear to God, it was the cannabis oil. And then right after my brain surgery, you guys, and other people, I've talked to other survivors like me, other people who've had brain surgery, and we're not crazy. You do hear like a sponge in there. I heard like, I could actually hear my brain growing back together, or I don't know, just my incision. I don't know, but I could hear it. It was crazy shit. And so I went home back to Lethbridge, and then that was October 3rd was my brain surgery. So they wanted to give me 3 months to recover. Sorry, I had my brain surgery. You want to know my results of my brain surgery. So my doctors were able to remove 97% of my tumor. Couldn't get 3%. It was a little too close to certain parts of my brain that they didn't want to remove. Like, first of all, I have no more math skills. That part they did after remove, but I have a calculator. I have a little short-term memory, and I have, what else? A little bit of like a, not vertigo, but when I'm walking, I sometimes misjudge. Big deal, right. I'm still alive, right? I'm still alive. So I continue with my Rick Simpson oil. I think I gobbled it up as soon as I got in the truck going back to Lethbridge. Go back to Lethbridge. I was in the gym in a week. Okay? Oh. That's how good I was. They're even looking at me in the gym going, are you supposed to be here? And I'm like, yeah, I fell a couple times. I'd get back up. But I was like so freaking determined. So 3 months goes by. The day before I'm supposed to go in and get my results, my doctor calls me, which is just bizarre. They never would ever call me to remind me about appointments. But anyway, they called just to make sure that I knew about coming in to get my results for my follow-up MRI. And I'm like, I'm going to be there. So I thought that was kind of weird, but I didn't want to say anything to my husband. And I thought it was a good sign, but it wasn't sure. So I didn't say anything. So I got in to see my doctor. Just so you know, when I told my family doctor, he actually tried to persuade me not to do cannabis oil. Won't do anything. It won't work. And I just said to him, look, you're my doctor. Because you're my family doctor, I'm just letting you know what I'm doing to make you aware. I'm not asking permission because I don't need to, but I want you to be aware. So when I go in there and I look at Dr. Smith, he's looking at me and I'm looking at him. And so he's just asking me other little questions. How you feeling? And I'm like, good. And I'm like just sitting there kind of like, well. So then he sits down with his pad of paper and he goes, Sheriann, what was it again you were doing? I'm like, Dr. Smith, what is the results of my MRI? He goes, oh my God, Sheriann, it's clear. That 3%'s gone. And I'm like, and I swore, I'm like, I effing told you it was going to work, and it did. So he had me write everything that I did, like the Rick Simpson oil, and I started doing like some Budwig diet, and I changed my diet. But yeah, he was pretty much screaming and crying. Yeah, I wasn't, because I knew it was going to work. I really did. But yeah, so that's my story. And when I was first diagnosed with my brain cancer, they told me that I would have 5 to 10 years to live at most if I did chemo and radiation. If I refused to do chemo and radiation, they said I would not even live 2 years. So Dr. Miller at Princess Margaret can kiss my butt because I'm still here and it's 7 years and I'm still stable. I've had 18 MRIs. My MRIs come back like remarkable. And yeah, so I've graduated from 3 months MRIs and I go now once a year.
So this
oil. I do 1 gram a day now. I still do 1 gram. Now, Rick Simpson himself actually found me and reached out to me about 4 or 5 years ago now. So he knows my story, and he knows that I tell my followers and the people that I talk to that after you've cured or you've slowed down your process of the growth of your tumors, that you can go off of Rick Simpson oil. No, I don't suggest doing that. I actually did, and then I went for my follow-up of that after that. So that would have been my 3rd MRI, and they said that they think that they might have saw something. And I said, I don't even want to know. Just I'll be back in another 3 months, so we'll go from there. And I just started going back to Rick Simpson oil. So I strictly gone back to, once a day, 1 gram, and I'll take it for the rest of my life every day. But I'm still alive, and I'm healthy, and I still have my hair, and
taking it every day is no different than taking any other medication every day.
Absolutely not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've never had to do the chemo, radiation, or any of those pills, but I have many friends who have cancer, and they tell me if they had the choice, they wish they would have done what I've done because they've seen how healthy I am. And most of my friends in the last 7 years aren't with us anymore because they didn't,
I have a friend with leukemia who's on an experimental drug, and I can't put her on the oil. She won't make it if I do, unfortunately.
Really?
The time that it would take for the oil to kick in, and it's working as is.
Yeah.
Why disrupt that? The minute it's not, and she can't take that anymore. Then but it's sad to sit and watch somebody with something that's never going to go away that she has to control.
Well, that's it.
The stuff that they're giving her is experimental. And I mean, they even went as far as forcing her and her husband to get the COVID shots so that she could take this. They refused it if she didn't get the shots, which is ridiculous. But
they pushed me into too.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, once you did your diagnosis, went through all of this, I'm going to assume you're probably like a lot of us patients that are out there. We had to tell everybody. Couldn't shut up.
For sure. Absolutely. I scream it to everybody and tell everybody, for sure. Like, I feel great when I feel terrible when I go to Princess Margaret Hospital and I sit in a room with other people with cancer, and they all look at me like, why is she here? And I'm like, because I have cancer. They go, you got cancer? I go, yeah, I got brain cancer. And they go, why do you look so good? I do Rick Simpson oil. And then I always get myself in trouble because they end up going in their doctors and they all come out and they all hear ask their doctors about Rick Simpson oil. And the doctors are all giving me the evil eye, right? But it's like, you know what? Like, Jesus Christ, if it's your fucking family members, wouldn't you want them to be able to take Rick Simpson oil and survive or live longer or live a healthier life? Like, I believe that we should all at least take a little dab, just like vitamins, of Rick Simpson oil every day, like a vitamin, just a dab, or even before you go to bed, because it gets you high, right? Take a little dab before you go to bed, make you sleep like a baby, but it'll keep you healthy. It's good for not just cancer. It's good for all sorts of things. All sorts of ailments.
The doctor said he didn't understand how I was able to control my diabetes because I don't pay attention to it at all. I take my pills and that's it. And we both kind of snicker and when we talk about cannabis because he knows that's what's doing it.
For sure they do, but they just don't. They weren't. In all fairness to doctors, they don't have any education on it unless they teach
they're
themselves.
Practitioners. They practice. They practice what they've learned.
Exactly. They practice what's in the book that they were given.
And if they don't update,
Yeah, unless they quit. A lot of doctors I know actually quit when legalization became, and they actually went to the other side. Especially down in Nelson, they all quit. Tons of doctors and nurses quit. Now they're doing alternative medicines, and they're making way more money doing that now because that's the way people are going, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, I just saw a thing the other day that it is actually studies are showing that people are slowing down on drinking alcohol and going more over to the cannabis, right?
We covered
increasing.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish my parents were hardcore alcoholics and they were assholes when they drank. Okay. And I the only way I could calm my mom down when I got like in my later teens and, she didn't give a crap if I smoked pot, I'd get her to have a puff and then that's it. She would calm down. She'd be on the couch and she'd be giggling, but she wouldn't be angry anymore. And I tell you, I wish that's the route my parents would have went. You know what I mean? But they were born in the 40s. They were,
Like, I hate it when you're on that stuff, but then I'd catch her eating my cookies,
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's it. It's just the stigma, right? It's the stigma that these are older generation. But darn right. Right now, you wouldn't believe.
She used to smoke when she was younger. I smelt it in the house. I saw it.
Okay.
In the 60s and 70s, it was there.
Well, I better hide your stuff. You never know.
There was a lot of stuff there.
Should be pinching on you.
Most of it, as you said, was alcohol.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember we used to go do our driving vacations down south.
Yep.
They would have wine and cheese parties while we're harmonizing in the back street, driving down the interstate highway. They're drinking. Hi, how are you?
I remember those days.
Having a good old time, and you can't get away with doing things like that now.
Yep. Yep. No, my parents, they had that 6-pack in between them and their export A cigarettes, and they'd have. That's probably why I got freaking cancer. And they'd sit there and smoke, and oh my God, that was crazy times, eh? Back in the 70s.
Times you just that was an upbringing that nobody will ever, from the generations going forward, will have.
No, exactly. No seatbelts, nothing.
Yep.
That was crazy, but it was good. It was better than these times, really. It was more free, right?
Different.
It was different.
Different. I grew up in Toronto, in Yorkville, so I mean,
okay.
I had the luxury of being in a place at a time in the 60s and 70s when Yorkville was Toronto.
It was Alma Combo, all that kind of.
School at just Ketchum Public School, that big school at Bay and Davenport.
Yep. Yeah.
That was the hub of Toronto at one. The first Canadian Tire,
Yeah. Times have changed. Yeah. Yeah, but no, people need to get on it. I think, and I wish that the cannabis industry would, I mean, they are starting to more focus on the wellness part of cannabis, but they need to focus more. And I know it's never going to happen because I know the government will never make Rick Simpson oil legal because they do know it slows down the process of cancer. They do know it cures cancer, and then they're going to make a whole bunch of money. They're not going to make money. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I've done interviews where we've gone to Health Canada and they just won't even answer the question. They just
they don't even recognize it as a medicine. So.
Yeah, you can get it at the cannabis store. They do have it, but it's not made the way somebody who expressly is making it for somebody with an ailment to take.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to have a strong enough percentage of THC, just like in the stores. Don't ever buy the stuff in the stores because it's not strong enough. They can't sell it because in the stores because it's too strong. The stuff that we need for medical patients.
Capitalizing on Rick's name that I don't agree with.
Oh, yeah.
Me neither.
That's not right.
I mean, I've had Rick on the show a few times. I've chatted with him a few times over the years. I'm sure Al has as well.
He's awesome.
He's a grandfather who's looking after himself and his family. That's all it is. He came up with a way from old methods to create something that has always been there.
Yep.
And he just put it out in the LimeWire, and because of his court cases, we found out about it. If he hadn't been charged, we wouldn't have found out about it.
That's right. So in a sense, that's a good thing.
Had not gone through the legal problems, including being booted out of Canada.
Exactly.
We would not know what RSO is. I mean, we know what FICO is. We call it FICO, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, the Legion too. They went public and were upset at what he was doing, but it was working. It was helping a lot of people, and
damn right. There's thousands of us,
and it's made a difference to a lot of people. So
tons of people. Everybody that I've talked to that have gotten onto it have had positive results. I have, like I said, so many friends that are like me that are still thriving, living on it. You know what I mean? Like, and it is like, so yeah, it's out there. Like, I know policemen, I know all sorts of officials and everybody. There's so many people that take it. Of course, you know what I mean? When you're told you're going to die, I mean, you're pretty much going to do anything, especially when, I mean, it's just freaking, it's cannabis. Like, I mean, gosh, my dad's probably sitting there, he's in heaven now, but he's probably sitting there going, oh, you're probably just in your glory. Right? This is my medicine, right?
After all these years, we've had a medical program for 20 years, and not all patients can smoke cannabis, but yet a lot of people believe that as soon as you think of medicinal cannabis, they're thinking, well, that person's smoking it. Whereas, so many other options and ways that people can consume it.
So many.
Yeah, whoever thought we'd be seeing, as they say, they only saw recreational cannabis at the recreational cannabis stores. And who would ever thought 20 years ago that we'd be sitting around a campfire, enjoying conversation, putting facial scrub on ourselves?
Because or having a beverage.
Yeah, it's
right.
I do feel like this is like the disclaimer part for me. I'm like, cannabis oil or cannabis does not necessarily cure cancer. This is Sheriann's personal experience.
Yeah, I don't say cure.
I will say, like, I know my personal experience with RSO, Rick Simpson oil, and my mother's cancer was we started treating her, but she was stage 4.
Right.
It was extremely aggressive, and what it did for her was it allowed her a better quality of life in the end, where she would have been in a lot more pain. She would have been able to eat. And that's just her personal benefits. And that's what I seen from the outside. It didn't, ultimately, my mother's no longer with us.
Right.
But at least she didn't suffer. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yes.
So, and everybody's story is going to be different. But I will point out that the method of making RSO is actually, it uses a flammable, it's like a flammable substance, if I'm not mistaken. And that our government recently, in like the last 10 years or whatever, made it illegal to make any sort of concentrate or extract with cannabis and said item. So it makes me wonder, why did the government make that law? Like, I understand that it can be dangerous, but I also understand that it can be done in a safe and.
They say it's safe, but in a lab it can be produced quite, and they do.
For sure.
It's like cocaine. Okay, they create a synthetic cocaine for operating rooms, and that's the powder that you get in your nose when you go in for your tonsils. How do I know this? I asked the doctor before he gave me the powder.
Yeah.
And then I
gonna numb your nose a little bit.
I went one step further and I verified that with Ira, because he would know, and he's a surgeon. Ira Price, I'm talking about Dr. Ira Price. But I asked him flat out, tell me about cocaine. He says they've been using that for years, and people they don't realize when you go in, the anesthetist gives you a squirt of powder in your nose. It's to open up your buccal whatever's, right?
Yeah. There is something to be said about it being a vitamin. I know, Sheriann, you talked about this, just like you use the word like a nutrient or vitamin, and some people have, like, I've heard this argument in the community for a while, like, what if when they criminalized or made cannabis illegal back in like the early 1900s, what if pre that we were actually eating it, juicing it, like in our salads and our foods and our like drinking? not just in medicine, but using it like a food.
We probably were.
And it was getting into our endocannabinoid system where like now we're so deficient that's why we're seeing autism and cancer and all of these terrible things just like through the roof.
And now they're saying that Alzheimer's is a form of, they're calling it diabetes 3, like type 3 diabetes.
Wow.
CBGTV is an official media sponsor for Conexpo 2024, and where you can watch official exclusive interviews with exhibitors and sponsors. Broadcasting on social media and streaming devices, subscribe at www.cbgtv.com today, and tune in for great cannabis-driven infotainment.
See, I would love to be able to buy fresh buds, like baby, not even like fully formed buds, because they're so delicious.
Micro, yeah.
They're so yummy.
I don't know, yummy, but I would eat.
Oh, they're so good. I would top my salad with some buds for sure.
Some buds, yeah.
Because they're still soft and fresh. They're not that like hard, crunchy, dense.
Make yourself a bud and mushroom salad.
Sounds good.
That does sound good.
Do it.
Throw some pecans in there.
Yeah, sounds good. Almonds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love the nuts.
Yeah. So and I just try to keep it simple. And eating clean, of course, is another big, huge part of it as well, because it's what we're talking about. It's what we're putting in our foods. Their food's poisoning us. I mean, it's what it is. I mean, everything we're eating is poisoning us. It's simple, right? Hate to say that, but
it needs to be grown in the ground around a tree.
Exactly.
I tell my kids if it's from a box, a bag, or a can, or a package, like it's not actual food. Okay?
Exactly.
Like chances are, and my kid's like, "What about bread?" I was like, "Still not real food." I was like, "Unless you buy the flour and all of the eggs and that, like you're making it here.
Yep.
It's bread.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like you put that stuff on the top of your fridge for months past the expiry, and that shit, it goes hard, but it doesn't mold.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is in that?
Yeah. Well, even just mold. In your bottled water, they're saying, I was listening to the radio yesterday, you don't realize how much plastic we are consuming when we drink that bottled water. We are like unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
I just drink a bunch of fluoride in my tap water because I just fill up my little bottle here.
Yep.
Still, like, what am I drinking in that?
Mine's out of the well. Mine's just well.
Yeah, that's good. You got the good well water.
Yeah.
Harder than hell, and it clogs the lines because
I have Lake Superior water. It's cold always. It's so yummy right out of the tap. It's great.
You take cold showers?
Oh yeah.
Sheriann,
yes.
Do you get involved in any activities, any cannabis type events or anything?
I do them all. I go to them all. I go to all the kind. I do Mall Can Expo. I've only been back in. I only moved back to Toronto right when COVID hit. So 4 years ago, that just passed with March. Was when COVID started 4 years ago. So yeah, since I've been here, yes, I live right downtown, so that's awesome. So I can pretty much walk to all the events in downtown Toronto. So yes, I go to every event that I possibly can. Last night I was at 2 events. Could have been at 3 if I had a car, but no. So yeah, I go to all the events. I just love to network, get to meet people. When I was down in Alberta, when I first got sick, I went down to a couple shows down in Calgary, and yeah, I met Jackie Child down there. And yeah, so as soon as I got cancer and started using cannabis, like I said, I started networking with everybody. I also got a cool story here for you. So you want to know who bought my first Rick Simpson oil for me? Okay, so I'll tell you why she did is because I'm poor. And me and my husband had just split up. 2 weeks after I had brain surgery, my marriage broke down. So I did a GoFundMe page to collect for Rick Simpson oil, because as we know, Rick Simpson oil is not cheap. I mean, so it is great if you can grow your own cannabis, and if you can make your own oil, that's great. So I started a GoFundMe page, and I remember it was a Friday night, and I went to go check my emails, and I had an email from a Vicky Cornell. I don't know if you guys know who that is. It's Chris Cornell.
Okay, yeah.
Soundgarden and Audio Slave. Yeah. It was his wife, and she, Chris had just died, just not even a month. Actually, he died a month to the day that I got sick. So, yeah, she found me when she was mourning Chris, and she actually donated $1,000, which bought my first 60 grams of Rick Simpson oil. So isn't that amazing? So I still talk to her to this day, and I kind of to me, it's just, I don't know. I have a lot of faith, and I'm not a religious person. I'm just a very spiritual person, and I believe things happen for reasons. And it was just kind of amazing, and she kind of helped me through that time, and I kind of helped her through that time in a weird kind of way. And so I've just had, it's been incredible. Like, people sit there when I tell them, because first right away when they say, so how'd you get into the industry? And I say, I got brain cancer. And right away they, oh my God. And I go, no, it's okay. And because that's how I feel. Like, I really don't feel sick. I don't want sympathy. I want just people to know that this is the route I went. I kind of feel, they told me not to go back to work. And I mean, I still have some issues that I would never be able to go back and do the jobs that I did before. Like, I did accounting and stuff. I obviously couldn't do that anymore. Because I just get frazzled with numbers. Right. But yeah, no, I just wanted, I just got into the community, and I tell as many people, and I help as many people as I can, learn about the Rick Simpson oil, because everybody, we know everybody that's been touched with cancer with somebody, right? So like I said, it's even if you could even afford it to get a gram and just do a dab every day, that probably would last you a month. Like vitamins, I would suggest highly, because you don't know. Like I said, I was healthy. I'm a non-smoker, the healthiest person in my family, and here I get brain cancer. So yeah, you just don't know, right? You just got to look for the signs, but try to stay healthy, try to stay away from processed foods and crappy foods, and stay positive.
Yeah, that's right.
And always remember that there's a life with cancer.
Yes.
It's so true. You don't know what's going on inside your body. You can only see the outside. You're like, oh, I have a bruise there.
Yeah, but you know what? If weird things are happening to you, dude, go check it out. Like, go to your doctor. Like, don't be afraid. Your doctor works for you. He makes money from you going to see him. So go and see him. That's what he's there for. Especially men. I had a guy friend who found, he had a lump in his testicle. And he was all embarrassed. And he told all of his friends and us, but he wouldn't go see his doctor. And we're like, Bruce, you should go see your doctor.
But then he has to show somebody.
Well,
yeah.
Doc, look at this. I've
telling
done
people about it and showing it.
Well, guess what? He didn't go see a doctor, and a month later he had another freaking lump in his nut. Now he's only got one nut. Okay?
I tried to do that on the air one day. I tried to do that to him. Hey, Doc, can you look at this?
Oh, that's terrible.
That's the thing. If you delay, like it,
Yes.
I can see why. He's obviously probably had some concerns because what's the next steps? Is the doctor's going to be cutting? And that could be it's the male thing, right?
A lot of people do get that, feel that way. I didn't. I don't know. I guess I just wanted to jump all over it. Like, I just wanted to have that hope, right? Because what I was reading and stuff, it wasn't positive. And then my doctor, basically, Dr. Mason here, told me to basically go home and lay in my bed and die and just wait and die. I'm like, are you serious? Like, I don't even feel sick. So why would I do that? And then I've had other people say, well, if I was told I was dying, I'd just go home and commit suicide. I'm like, why would you do it? Like, here I am 7 years later. Why would you do that? Don't always believe everything you hear from doctors. Do your research. Do like I do. Go actually talk to other people who are fighting cancer with cannabis. Talk to them. See how they did it. See what they experienced.
So important when that's why groups are so important because you get those mutual stories, those same feelings from other people that are going through the same thing, maybe not the same reason, but they're going through the same thing.
Yep.
And so when you're sitting in a group setting, it's always, there's a comfort feeling there.
Right. Absolutely. But yeah, a lot of people are just scared. And then doctors, like we were saying, doctors aren't educated on Rick Simpson oil or cannabis use. Like, I mean, pharmacists are getting a little bit better now, but doctors, they're just worrying about their practices, right? Like, and they're doing their own struggling. But yeah, you as a patient, and that's what I tell a lot of people. They'll message me, oh, where do you get your Rick Simpson oil? Blah, 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 blah. And I say, look, you have cancer. It's going to be with you. This is your life now. You need to figure this out. You need to learn as much as you can on how to make yourself healthy and what you need to do. Don't be listening to other people, right? Like, I mean, I know some people, they have a closet full of medicine. I'm like, you don't need all that. You don't need to waste your money on all those pills, man. You just need I just take vitamin C for my pills. I do the Budwig diet. Yeah, you as a patient, and that's what I tell a lot of people. They'll message me, oh, where do you get your Rick Simpson oil? Blah, 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 blah. And I say, look, you have cancer. It's going to be with you. This is your life now. You need to figure this out. You need to learn as much as you can on how to make yourself healthy and what you need to do. Don't be listening to other people, right? Like, I mean, I know some people, they have a closet full of medicine. I'm like, you don't need all that. You don't need to waste your money on all those pills, man. You just need I just take vitamin C for my pills. I do the Budwig diet. I eat clean, and I take my Rick Simpson oil. And I think that I do my CBDs, and that's it. You know what I mean? I stay positive. And then I do like my mushrooms for depression or for anxiety, and I just microdose those. I stay off of, I am on absolutely no pills because I don't want that shit in my body, right? Because you do, like, and just going back to like chemo pills and radiation, chemo pills, I believe. But, like, people don't realize any medicines that we take, after you take it for so long, your body gets adjusted to it, and you don't realize that it might be making you that mean person, or it might be making you a sicker person, but you don't realize that, because you're so adjusted to it. But when you use cannabis oil, you get too high, you go for a nap. You know what I mean?
Well, even mushrooms. I mean, I stopped taking depression pills.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I started taking mushrooms,
Way better for you.
It's funny, I stopped taking acid reflux medication and started taking baking soda. And guess what? That was like 6-7 years ago, and I don't even take it anymore.
Now she's
like Sheriann was saying. No, the problem was before, like Sheriann was saying, my body had gotten used to the Prevacid every single day. And if I didn't take it, I would be in so much pain. But when it got used to the baking soda, I only used the baking soda when I would have an issue, and all it would do was go in and neutralize the acid.
Well, that's what comes is primarily baking soda.
That's what blew my mind when my neighbor told me, because I was eating a bunch of Tums, and he's like, "Why are you eating all of the sugar and all of the crap?" He's like, "Just take the active ingredients." And I was like, I looked at the bottle and it says sodium bicarbonate. He's like, "Yeah, baking soda." Wow. And I was like, he showed me how to do it. Half a teaspoon in a cup of water. I can't drink a whole cup. I do it in an ounce, like a shot, and then I drink a glass of water to taste it down.
I tried.
And well, you know what? You don't like it? Buy the empty capsules. Put the baking soda right in it. Swallow it. Put it right down in your stomach. Let it dissolve in there. Just drink water, because the water helps. Yep. Well, that's what I do with my Rick Simpson oil. I put a whole gram will fit in a 00 gel capsule. And that's what I do. So I swallow it, because when I first started taking it, oh my God, you never taste your food ever again. It's a icky taste, right? Yeah. So I one of my other friends who takes it, she's like, "Oh, put it in a gel capsule." So that's what I did. And no, it's easy peasy. No mess. It's easy peasy. I make like 60 at a time. I put it in a little bottle and I just pop it around noon every day. It's the cannabis community that donates my cannabis oil to me, and it has been for 7 years. Bless their hearts, basically.
Good.
And
we do need to. It would be nice.
Having access is so important. If you don't have access,
absolutely huge. It'd be nice if we. And I've talked to a lot of growers that would love to do that eventually. That and there's I mean you just need straps. You can use the whole plant, right, to make Rick Simpson oil, and there's enough growers out there at harvest that can donate, right? But then it's the alcohol that's the hardest to get, but it's easy enough to get.
Not everybody is capable of creating their own or making their own.
No, I couldn't. I would screw it up. So that's why. And I'd probably blow it up in my little bachelor apartment too. So.
Well, that was well, that's the safety end. That's why those processes were outlawed. Even using high grade alcohol, because it's an explosive. The only real legal way of creating anything is to use rosin, because you're just using a heat press. You're not using anything that's combustible.
Yeah, but have you ever seen anybody try and cook a frozen turkey in a deep fryer?
Yeah,
and they sell those all at like Home Depot.
Well, you should thaw out your turkey. You should thaw out your turkey before you put it in.
That's what I'm saying. It's the safety. Everything can be done safely.
It is the safety.
Yeah, but not everybody does.
The government should have said, like before they used to with the alcohol. Even you used to have a special license. It wasn't a special license. You just had to get a paper filled out through the LCBO, and it was so. If you bought it, they could tell you this stuff is extremely flammable. Make sure you're so they would give you some sort of warning. But if the government put in place, hey, anybody who buys this for cannabis purposes, give them the instructions on how to.
Yeah, people still blow
themselves
up.
You know what I mean?
Well, they do.
People still blow themselves up.
Absolutely. They're just careless. They just get careless, and that's basically what it is. Yeah, they just get careless. Yeah,
I know I can't do it. I leave that to other people.
Yeah, I can't either. No, I've had to warm mine up, and even just warming my jar up, like boiling it in, you could really smell it here. It's like, holy smokes, my animals are getting baked.
If anybody's listening to this and is curious exactly about RSO, watch Phoenix Tears.
Yes.
You can find it. It's on YouTube. It's on, just Google Phoenix Tears, Rick Simpson oil or RSO, and watch the first documentary.
Yes. Yeah, I recommend that too.
Actual documentary.
Yeah. This short podcast turned into a longer one. I'm just looking at both times, the time on the length of the conversation and the one on our in the real world.
We're just gabbing
away.
Gabbing on Friday.
Well, I want to say congratulations for your nomination. It makes perfect sense that you were nominated for Activist of the Year, because you've been a huge advocate for both the cannabis plant and the oil, and And sharing your story is amazing, and I love that you keep doing it.
Thank you, and congratulations on your nomination.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
voting for you.
Thank you. So I guess Al was.
People can go to canexpo.ca.
Yeah.
Follow the tab. You'll see the event tab. Click on the event tab. You'll see Canafluencer Awards, and click on that, and you'll have a window that opens, and you can see all the different nominees for all the different
categories.
Yeah, correct.
And while you're there, don't forget to check out all the cool things Can Expo is going to have with the Camp Canna activation, the joint rolling competition. If you're planning on going, make sure you sign up for the joint rolling competition, because that's going to be
okay. Have to sign up. And I have to say, I was at an event last night, and everybody's pretty excited to hear that there is an actual smoking lounge outside.
Yes, smoking lounge.
I'm sure they're probably not happy with us all hanging outside of there last year. 500 smoking cannabis users for 3 days. So
I just want to say, let's see what it looks like, because when we were at the Kind Winter Fair, they were like, "Oh yeah, the smoking area is over there," and it was a back alley, and I literally felt like I was that stoner hiding in the alley again. I was like, I just want dignified consumption.
Well, did you go to Flower? Because I heard they had a really good consumption.
No, I didn't. Hall of
Flowers? So yeah, that was the same building, so I'm thinking it's going to be the same.
I seen the inside of Hall of Flowers, and it felt very corporate and boxy. So I know with Can Expo, it's a different feeling.
It is a totally different vibe.
Fun
totally
and
different.
legacy. So I'm super excited to go.
Yeah, I am too.
There.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if people wanted to check out your socials and your stuff, how would they go about doing that?
Pretty much just I'm under everything. That's Sheriann Baker, Sheriann Baker. You'll find me on everything: Instagram, Twitter,
Google.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Google, LinkedIn, everything, everywhere. Yeah.
You need the Google shirt that says Google, and then it says Sheriann Baker.
Yes. Yes. And I'm pretty easygoing. You know, I'm probably, a lot of people are surprised. They go, "Oh my God, I'm surprised you responded." But I of course I'm going to respond. People who are sick and stuff that reach out, I'm not going to not respond. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a miracle worker. I'm not swearing. I'm not guaranteed that Rick Simpson oil works for everybody, but it works for me. And that's what I tell people. So, right.
All you can do is tell people from your experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah. Finally meet you, Sheriann.
Thank you. It was very nice meeting you.
Make sure you pop by our booth at Can Expo.
Are you kidding? I'll be there for 3 days.
Yeah, 606 will be at booth 606. Booth. I have to get used to that word. Booth.
606 is my favorite number.
At least it's not 666. Booth 6.
No, 6 is my favorite number, so I'm happy. That makes me. I like that.
Yeah, and booth 0 is my favorite number. So.
What is 0?
Booth 0.
You're so weird.
Great. I'm going to run this promo thing here, and if you want to wait for a minute, we'll be right back.
You bet.
Okay. Did you want to say anything else, Al?
No. Go ahead.
Okay.